Howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to do an equipment tour and I'm going to go over what it is I use. You know, I've moved so many computers around in my lab and done so many different things with them. So what I want to do is set the stage today for how I have all my computers figured, both for my lab, for my home, and for my work. So we'll go over them. We'll go over each machine one at a time. Tell you what the specs are on it, what I use it for specifically, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I don't know what else to say other than let's get the video started. My daily driver, my workstation. Now this unit has, this is the Ryzen build I did. It's got a Ryzen 1500 processor in there. I don't have it overclocked. It's running at 3.5 gigahertz right now. It has a 2 SSD drives in there, and then one spinning hard drive that I do video editing on. One of the SSDs is used as a scratch drive for Adobe Premiere. So it's a very powerful machine. And then up top here I have a USB 3 hub and a micro SD card and a regular SD card reader. It's got two USB 3 ports on the front and a couple of USB 2 ports on the front. I don't have any optical drives in here. This is the these are the two 24-inch Dell monitors that I picked up. I did a video on those. Those are my daily driver monitors. And then I went out to Walmart a few months ago and got a Corsair keyboard. I love this keyboard. The only thing I wish is that I'd gotten different switches, the ones that click, because I love them. But I picked this up from Walmart for like 59 bucks. And this is my keyboard that I use on a daily basis. And then my well-worn Logitech mouse on my desktop. And then also here on my desktop I have this Cavalier Drive Caddy that I do offsite backups. I back them up to an external drive or to a removable drive using this Cavalry to manage those drives, and then I give one to my neighbor or give one to my brother and store it off-site. And then on this desktop I also have this phone that was donated by Sasha. This is my daily driver phone that I use. It's running an Android operating system, and it's got all the phone features I need. This is my microphone and my microphone stand that I use to do my YouTube videos with. And then I have a Logitech headset for when I'm editing videos and so I can monitor. Now this unit here used to be my daily driver. It's an Intel i5 processor. I'll put the specs up on the screen. 16 gig of RAM. It's got a Blu-ray and a Blu-ray reader, writer, and a Sony Optiplex CD-ROM drive, so I can rip DVDs and Blu-rays. It does have USB 3. This was my old workstation, my daily driver workstation. It has now been relegated here to the work desk. And the nice thing about this case is it has a removable drive tray, albeit a little dirty, in the top. So if I wanted to mess with various different operating systems, I could just plug a drive in here and boot into the BIOS and have it boot off of that. My Logitech subwoofer. Now right now this unit has two purposes. One is to rip DVDs and Blu-rays and to serve as a backup to my main workstation, and then it's also my flight simulator rig. And like I say, I think it's a 4700 i5 with 16 gig RAM. It's got a GTX 640 video card in it. Like I said, Logitech speakers with subwoofer. I've got an Anchor USB 3 port or hub, and then I have it also has a charging station for that is true, what they call their IQ charging, where it just delivers power to those ports so you can charge devices. And then I've got my old 19-inch Dell monitors over here on a stand. This is the Logitech keyboard I use with that. Logitech speakers. There's my iMac back there, or Mac Mini I should say. And then of course another trusty Logitech mouse. So this is the unit I have set up for my flight simulator and for my work desk, just as kind of a backup to my main workstation in case anything were to happen to it. My IBM X3650 server is here. You know, I've done a review on it before. It's got eight available slots for hard drives. Right now it's populated by 146 gig SAS drive, a SSD drive for these two drives are dedicated to Hyper-V, to Windows Server 2016 and Hyper-V. Then I've got another spinning 3.5 inch 146 gig SAS drive in there, and right now temporarily I have a Toshiba 500 gig spinning 2.5 inch hard drive out of my old Mac Mini because I put an SSD in there. You saw the video on that. I'm waiting on some more hard drives to come in. The goal of this server is it's going to be running Hyper-V. It's going to be able to boot into Hyper-V 2016. It's going to be able to boot into Proxmox, ESXi, and eventually Overt. And I'm going to do a whole series of videos on that. Of course, it's got a DVD-ROM or CD-ROM drive here, so I can, if I ever need to use CDs, I can. If we come around to the back of the unit, this is the one I also put the daughter board in. So I have a total of 4 Ethernet ports on there. Then this is the management port here. VGA, USB ports. This is also the one I replaced one of the defective power supplies on. The folks at Garland Computer were good enough to send me a replacement power supply. And then there is the Mellanox 10 gig SFP plug for the 10 gig networking. This will be going into the rack here in the next week or so. But for now, while I'm experimenting and testing, as you can see, I've got some hard drives laid on top. It's just kind of sitting here. I know it's upside down, but this is the Unify switch. It's an 8-port PoE switch that I have on my work desk. That way I can test out phones and any other PoE devices I might need. I just kind of mounted it on the wall here so that I would have it available. It comes in real handy when I'm doing testing or doing lab environments outside of the rack because I can just come here and plug and unplug stuff fairly easily. So that's a switch that serves this desk. The phone is PoE. You saw me set up that phone. Pardon the desk, a little bit messy right now, but you get the general idea. This is the Dell R710. This is my production server. I have 2 spinning SAS drives in there and an SSD that was donated by Sasha, a 1 terabyte SSD running just fine. And this is where I do most of my business-related servers or workstations are on here. This machine runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll put the specs down below so that everybody sees what it has in it. And I got it for $200 a couple of years ago now, or a year and a half ago, and it's just been a damn good machine. I had 2 of these, you know, one that users donated, that's this one, and then another one that I bought, and I have leased that out to a client so they can use it to run a bunch of Hyper-V virtual machines. Now this unit above it is my Exponology NAS. This is strictly for home use. This is where we store our ripped videos, Blu-rays, DVDs, that kind of thing, music, photos that are mainly shared for the family, and you know, is usually kept separate from my business. I also run Plex under Exponology on this machine, and it's a Core i3, 8 gig of RAM. It's a quad-core i3 processor with a gigabyte motherboard, and I'll put the specs. Look for the specs to flash up on the screen here. I will put them in as I edit the video. The unit next to it is pretty much a carbon copy of the spare desktop unit I showed you on the workbench. It's an i5 4700 processor, 16 gig of RAM. It has a single 500 gig spinning hard drive in there, and that is running Windows Server 2016, and that is my primary domain controller. I like having a physical domain controller to putz around with, so that's what I did for this one. And you should see the specs pop up down below on there. But this is the one I use specifically to run my my Windows domain controller. I may virtualize it at some point in the future, but I just don't at this time. Then I have a UPS right here, APC 1500 VA UPS that I replaced the battery in and did a video on that. That was actually given to me by a client. They bought a new UPS, and they asked me if I wanted this one, and I said yes, and they graciously let me have it. I bought a battery for it. It's been running strong, and eventually it will be cleaned up. And then I have this secondary battery backup unit, mainly for my router and my switch and that kind of thing. This is a hyper tough power strip, and it has 2 USB ports on it, powered USB ports. So the plan is to get rid of all this kerfuffle here, this old server, my UPS, this UPS, and to put everything back behind or on the floor where it belongs, and then put that power strip along the back wall so I can plug everything into that. So that's the plan. I picked that up at Walmart for about 25 bucks. And you see it's spaced properly, so I could even in theory put it on the side of the rack, which is what I may end up doing, putting it on this side of the rack, so that all my stuff with power warts, wall warts, and that kind of thing can plug into it. There's my TiVo bolt. That is for the home TV watching enjoyment. Mainly it's for my mother because she's used to the old school guide and that kind of thing. So that's why we have the TiVo bolt. Next to that is a Silicon Dust HD Home Run. That is for live and recorded TV on Plex, which we're going to be doing a video on here pretty soon. That works really well, and I've had zero trouble with. Right above that is our Ubiquiti Edge, or USG router. This is our connection out to the internet via the USG, and I've done several videos on that. And the next to that is our Synology NAS, and with the help again of Sasha Lopez, we were able to get, he donated 2 6-terabyte drives, and then I put 2 4-terabyte drives in there. So we have a total of 12 terabytes of storage for the business end of things. I also have some iSCSI shares hosted on there. That is pretty much the location where I store all of my data for my business, and all of my VM files, backups, that kind of thing are all located on this box. Works really, really well. We've done a whole series of videos on that Synology NAS. Then above that is my 24-port Ubiquiti Unify switch, and you can tell it's pretty well populated. And then above it, you know, we did a video on the rack cleanup where I showed you what kind of rack connections we used. Still a work in progress. There you go. And then this is, back here is this is the line coming from my internet service provider. This is the green cable on the top is the actual fiber from the pole to my closet. So I told you it was FTH, which means fiber to the home. And then there's a power adapter there, and then the yellow cable comes to my USG Unified Security Gateway. And that is my internet connection right there. Well, that's it. There's all the equipment I use in my network and in my business and in my home use, and hope you found it informational. So you know, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm constantly moving equipment around. I think I've finally set upon how I'm going to keep things, at least for the next 5 or 10 minutes. So, of course, my network is always a work in progress, but the plans for the IBM server, I think I now have them concreted in, and that is that I'm going to just put a bunch of hard drives in there, and you'll see I've got a video coming up on hard drives being installed in that IBM server and what I'm using them for. It'll probably be a 2-part video on that because I want to show you some neat stuff. But I just find it's probably going to be the best way to use that IBM server. And again, that's not going to be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week server. Not by any means. It's going to be only turned on when I need it to do projects with, or play around or do videos on it. And then the workstation behind me is I now have a dedicated flight simulator machine, because I love to, while, you know, some of you like to watch movies and TVs, I like to fly airplanes, so that's what that unit behind me will give me the ability to do. It also serves as a backup machine for my main machine that I'm using now, so just in case something were to go wrong on this, stick of RAM goes out, power supply or whatever, I can still edit videos over there, albeit a little bit slower. The other thing it gives me the ability to do is to keep my stuff separate, so my production network, which is my live network that I use for my work. Keep it separate from my home network and, you know, my Xpenology NAS, etc., so that I have that division, that separation there. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone again. But there you go. So make sure you join us this Saturday, the 28th of April, I believe it will be. Let me check. At noon, we are going to do a live stream this Saturday. And I've had a generous donation from a subscriber. I want to do a live unboxing for that, so make sure you join us for that. It'll be starting at 12 noon, and we'll probably go from 12 to 1 o'clock because I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, a lot of stuff to cram into one day. So make sure you join us for that event as well. And I have some more videos coming up. I don't know when I'm going to post them, whether it's going to be this weekend or the beginning of next week, because I've got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. We're going to go visit some friends we haven't seen in a while and get me out of the house, so that's good. But anyway, I've got that video coming up on putting hard drives in this IBM and setting up some different operating systems, and I have another video I want to do on phone systems, so we've got that coming up. Some more advanced stuff on phone systems. What else? We get a ton of stuff coming up. I've just got so many videos planned. You'll just have to wait and see what they are. So we hope you found this video entertaining and informative. As always, please give us a thumbs up down below if you liked it. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get notified when there are new videos out of here. Donate if you're so inclined. We've been getting a lot of healthy donations coming in. In fact, I want to give a shout out again to the person that just seems to want to keep this channel running no matter what, and that is Sasha Lopez. I'm not going to tell you the amount, but it was a sizable donation to our SSD fund for our server. So Sasha, thank you very much again. And I see we now have some more donations coming in on Patreon. So in tomorrow's live stream, I'll do a shout out and a thank you to all the people that have donated this month. And so if you're so inclined, PayPal, Patreon, either one we take. I'm also looking at a new way for you folks to donate that may be even better. I'm not going to reveal too many details about it now, but suffice it to say that it might be a little bit better than Patreon, and it allows us both to keep a little bit more of our money and not give it away to the people taking it from us. Anyway, if that made any sense at all. So there you go. Don't forget, come back and see us again. Subscribe. Leave your comments down in the comment section. Technical questions, UJPlayhouse@gmail.com. You know the routine. And don't forget, folks, we will see you on the other side.